Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the informational moment with Christina Wright and Jose Velasquez. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. They're coming up in a few, and we are going to be broadcasting. Ladies, you guys, you are live on YouTube, so take it away.
Happy New Year, Jose.
Hey, what is going on? Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
You too. So, our first show for the new year,
I
correct?
know. Happy to be here again. How'd you make out in the snow?
Oh, I stood in my place and look outside and enjoy the view. Luckily, I have someone to shovel.
Nice.
We didn't have to do that. We don't
Yeah,
have both don't have good backs, so someone else got to do the work for us.
yeah. I understand that, and it was a lot. It came down. It was really heavy.
Yes,
It was
about
really.
we're saying about 8 inches or more.
Yeah, easily. I took a video. The flakes, the snowflakes that were coming down were so big. They looked like $half.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
sorry. So that was like at 4:30 in the morning. I was out there.
Wow.
It was yeah. So and listen, night as opposed to when it snows in the morning is very different. It's just the way the light hits it looks amazing. So 4:30 in the morning in that dark, that snow coming down looking like $half was like the most beautiful thing ever. And
Wow.
then fast forward to, the ice and the craziness of it all, that's not so fun. But in the beginning it looks nice. But
Okay.
luckily we all made it out okay. Everybody,
Yes. Safe.
yeah. Yeah, everyone's pretty good, so
Thank
that's
God.
always good.
All right. So we have a few minutes, and we just go ahead and introduce you, Jose. And
Perfect.
our show is the Mortgage 101 and Financial Literacy Show. And of course, my co-host is Jose Velasquez. All right. And he comes with a whole wealth of knowledge, right, with the mortgage and finance. And myself, Christine Gallimore here. I am a licensed field underwriter for insurance and finance. So we're gonna try to give you the best information for home ownership, purchasing, and investing. Okay, Jose? So
Perfect.
you
Thank you.
take it away and just let us know a little bit more about your background and what
Perfect.
else
Yeah.
you have
So,
to offer.
I'll give everybody a quick little rundown. Started my career at Chase. I was in the finance services with them, so I got licensed. I got my 63 to be able to trade and be able to buy things on the market, right?
Right.
As well as training in far as dealing with customers from the mortgage and loan ends and all that. Took that career over to TD Bank, where pretty much did the same thing, and then together started a few companies. Did that, came back into mortgages, got mortgage license because in this industry after 2010 you had to get licensed. Got back into the mortgage industry, got licensed there, started by myself, just kind of figuring out how to do mortgages, which anybody that's ever bought a house and only had to do it once, bless you, because you only had to do it that one time. But we had to figure out how to navigate these waters in the mortgage world, right?
Sure.
And been doing this now for 5 years, built over a team, and now basically just trying to get as much information out there to home buyers, because the one thing I think that most people have in common when they're buying houses, and the number one question I think we always get is just, how do I do it? Right? Like nobody knows how to do it. And again, it's because you're maybe in a person's lifetime, they do it once, twice, maybe 3 times, right? But for the most part, everyone's buying a house once in their life, selling it, and maybe moving somewhere else, right?
Right.
Because of that, we try to bring all that knowledge, all the experience, or everything that we've learned, bundle it all up. That's biggest. One of the topics I kind of wanted to talk today about wasn't even so much about mortgages, but why you need to hire a realtor, whether you're selling or whether you're buying, right?
Good.
And I was thinking about it over the break or over the time that we spent. this past week,
So what you
I
want
was
to tell
thinking
me?
about,
Yeah. So you want to tell me
you know,
you were
the
thinking about
biggest
Donna all the
reason that
time?
people hire realtors, and a lot of people don't want to hire them because they're trying to save money,
Okay.
right? Or they
Yeah,
think that they could,
I just want to interject by saying, so you were thinking about Donna all the time? Remember, she's a
yeah,
realtor.
all the time.
Okay, there we
You're
go.
always on my mind. There's
Yeah,
always something going on. I'm like, okay,
right.
let's figure this out, right? So
Auntie Donna.
why, right? So why do we hire realtors? Why do they need to hire realtors? And I think the biggest reason, right, is just that time frame that
Yeah.
we have built over the years, right? Over year one, year two, year three, year four, year five. Now in my career, not only can I say that I was in real estate before the crash, right? Back in 2008, 2009, I was already in banking. I already came from that world. Then I decided to get into real estate when the market was completely tanked, right? Quote unquote. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a seller's market, right? I mean, it was a
Yes.
buyer's market, right? It was great. Everyone at that time was selling their homes for a lot less, right? Quote unquote.
True.
And I say a lot less, but it was really what the true values of the home should have been at that time.
Right.
Right. And I think a lot of stuff got devalued and everything else because just so people understand how, and this is something, right, that as a realtor, you do on a daily basis, right? And you follow these trends. The way that the appraisal figures out how much the home is worth in that area, right? So when the banks go out and say, hey, we're going to loan you this much money, is by the most recent house that has been sold,
Right. In a
right?
certain radius of that
In a certain radius of your home.
particular
So if
house. Yeah.
you are and if you're in a zone and you want to know whether your zone is booming or if it's going to start to cool off, literally just jump on Zillow, right? You have access to NMLS, which is even better than Zillow. But
Right.
for the normal people out there, they can jump on Zillow, click on recently sold, and you can see, hey, home prices keep going up. Now, if you see, right, like if you look at your particular situation, you're looking at a 4-bedroom home with 2 bathrooms, whatever square footage, right? You figure it out because
Yeah.
that's the other part, right? These are the things that you do as a realtor, right? You go
Yeah.
in and you figure this out and you go, okay, based off of this is what you can sell your home for example, right? But now if you want to not hire a realtor and do this on your own, this is what essentially you'd be doing.
Yeah.
So a big reason why you're hiring realtors for the experience. Like you don't necessarily, and I'm not saying that you don't necessarily need to jump in and do the research, but for the most part, you've been, you're in it, you're involved, you're constantly doing transactions, you're knowing came in short in this area.
Yeah.
You already know that information. You know because you're in that information. By the time it hits Zillow, it's already too late, right? So
Right.
that's why most people should hire realtors. To sell their home or to even like go out and start buying, because I think a lot of times too they just look on Zillow or they look on Realtor or whatever and they just go out to open houses unrepresented.
Yeah.
Right?
Better yet, just call Auntie Donna. Better yet.
There you
Auntie
go.
Donna
And
will
but that's
take you
not to like
seamlessly.
toot your own horns in that sense, right? But you've been doing this for a while, so now you've seen things. You could avoid things for customers, problems that might occur. Oh, your house is in a flood zone. Something that like
Yeah.
newer realtors or even you as a buyer don't understand, because you might be somewhere looking around and saying, oh, no, I don't need flood insurance. The ocean's so far away or a laneway so far away, but you don't understand that particular area on that particular plot requires it. So that's something that gets looked at, that you learn because maybe you sold a house there a few years ago and you're like, oh, I remember this block. This block has whatever XYZ. So I think
Right.
that's a big reason. Like the realtors really cut down all that and put all their time, energy, and effort. And I think a lot of that gets lost because we're in a service industry and people don't understand what we do. They just know that you're there, you show them houses, or you put their house up on the market, and that's it, right? They don't see all the work that goes behind it.
Yeah.
And that's
Also, I might interject. It's for like the school zones, right?
right.
Most time, people have the kids. They want to know that they could keep the kid in the right zone, the schools.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
Right. And that happens. And that happens so often too, right? That people move within their own town or neighborhood, the kids in the same school district and kind of
Right.
where are the borders, where are the boundaries? Yeah, of course. I mean, look at that. That's not even something that was off the top of my head, but because of your years of experience, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, look, this is something you run across. And I think
Oh
that,
yes.
like that's huge. And for anybody out there that's, so for mortgages, I'm not thinking about school zones.
Hmm.
That's not even something close for me to even think about because it doesn't make a difference for the mortgage,
Right.
but it will make a difference for the client. So that's why like realtors give that human touch, right? And I think this is why companies like Zillow failed, like trying to get into real estate land,
Yeah.
right? Like you've seen that, right? You saw the article of
Yes.
them. They lost a
Yes.
ton of money. They lost a ton of money because they thought they were
Exactly.
realtors. They thought they were realtors, but they're not, right? Like they
Yeah.
were, they didn't have that human touch, and that's what every realtor I spoke to said would say the same thing to me. It was just that interaction that you have with that person makes a huge difference over a computer system saying houses are worth this or houses are worth that, and you're in this area or whatever. It's like no, you have no idea. You're not on feet on the ground, understanding that this particular corner in this block is zoned XYZ method or XYZ
Exactly.
way. So
Most
it goes a long
likely.
way, man. Experience. That's what you're paying for,
Right.
And here's another tip why you hire a realtor. And I hate to even like put it this way, but the ultra wealthy and the ultra rich don't do this themselves.
No.
They all
Certainly
hire
not.
realtors. Not a single one of them buys properties that their realtor, broker, or someone isn't vetting and making sure it's good, and then just bringing it to them to say yes or no.
Yes.
So if they're willing to pay, because I think that's the whole thing, right? It's like the commission pays and all that jazz. If they're willing to pay the commission on that, it says something.
Yeah. It's for
That should tell
service.
you something. That
Yeah.
is a
It's for your
huge,
service.
huge part of their portfolio. They're not taking the time out of their day to figure out if there's a lien on the house that they're trying to buy, or if
Right.
they're selling their house and they don't know. Let's say there's just so much that goes into it that for me, hiring a realtor, there we go, right? Hiring a realtor, aka
Mhm.
you, um, or really just hiring a realtor in general, that it brings so much experience and it really helps protect you as a buyer or protect you as a seller.
Yeah.
For me, at least that's how I see it. I mean, from your end, from your perspective, what do you think?
Yes, it's true because I was once a realtor, going back like 18 years. Yeah, I was once a realtor, and I see and experience a whole other things that, hey, most likely Zilla was sending out a drone to
Right,
do their work, right?
right.
And as I said, we're boots on the ground, being
Hmm.
there physically and emotionally with the clients, all right?
Hmm.
And you could, we're in a position to point out certain things as we see it, and if you're taking the customer's interest up at heart, which I always do, then you could say, you know what, I've seen stuff that I don't like here. I think you should get an engineer to check this out before you go further. All right.
Hmm.
So being that, in that position, and personalizing the old experience for them, show them that you care. I always come up with a better result because
Well,
then
yeah,
I'm showing them certain things that you know that they should look at, that they should take into consideration, right? So
right.
then they trust me as a realtor. Sometimes they say, "Oh, Chris, I see this house on the internet. Do you mind go look at it and tell me give me your prospect, your your idea and stuff of it?" And I said, "Okay." Sometimes I'm tired, but I like, okay, let me do it. Right by, I get something. Sometimes I hassle to get the keys, but
Hmm.
get the keys and drive by. I'll take pictures sometimes, and I send it to them, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's a good thing I didn't go, come on, go waste my time." They're talking about their time and go and see because the bedroom is too small. The kitchen is not what I want, and that. So it takes a time away from you, but then at least in the long hand, there's trust, and they will stick with you until you come up on the right property for them
Right. Well,
and
so
have a
here's
purchase.
right. No, 100%. But here's the other thing to that, right? So,
Hmm.
and from my end, right, just from dealing with realtors over the years and just kind of understanding, the business, right? Like you guys spend so much time, especially with buyers, right? More with buyers than with sellers, but with buyers, you guys spend so much time
Yeah.
driving them around or meeting with them. Is different. If you're in Brooklyn, you're probably taking public transit. Out on Long Island, right?
Yes.
The areas are different, whether you're in a mass area or out in the rural. But
Exactly.
the going back and forth, all the time you're spending up front, and none of it's paid for, right? Like you don't get
No,
paid until the deal's closed.
until
And
it's closed.
imagine,
Yes.
right? So now, so this is something that as a seasoned vet, right? A lot of realtors, they'll know how to vet the buyers, right? They'll understand that. So if you are showing the house to someone and you spent 3 months showing it to them, or a month or a day or whatever the time is, right? Because it's all time anyway. That's what you're giving up is time. So you show them the house and then they're not qualified. You as a realtor have also wasted your time, right? So something
Oh,
that I
yes.
really like to do with my realtors too is teach them the same way, I'm trying to do that here, right? Is explain what they need to look for, right? So that they're taking a look at the W-2s, the tax
Yes.
returns, or at least understanding that they're going to need to gather that information, right, from the client so that they can get it to their lender. But the real deep of it is understanding what you need to be asking the client to as a realtor. Be like, okay, cool. You're trying to look at $500,000 houses, let's say, right? But they
Uh-huh.
make $60,000 a year. Can they qualify? I don't know. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Right.
that's something that, like, as a realtor, I try to teach them. Like, hey, look, if they're going to be in a particular area, just something simple. Break it down. $400 for every 100,000 that they're looking to buy. Figure out what their salary is. Divide it by two. Excuse me. Yes, divide it by two. Safe-ish number. Or you go 40% of their salary. So if it's
Yeah.
40,000, right? So if it's 40,000, excuse me, if it's 100,000 that you make, you want to be
Agreed.
conservative. Say 40,000 at 40%, or 50,000 at 50%. Right? You take that
Yes.
number, divide it by 12.
Right.
That'll give you your maximum mortgage payment. And then now you as the realtor or you as the buyer can figure it out and go, okay, well, that's my maximum, but I have, you know, card that I have to pay for 500. I have this, I have that. And then you plug it in and you go, oh, damn, I don't qualify. My
Mm-hmm.
expenses are too much on this side to be able to buy
Right.
a house at this price. So little things like that, right? And then you can kind of figure it out. And then obviously the ideal client for any realtor, right? And even for yourself as a buyer is someone that has gone and gotten qualified first. Because if you
Yes.
don't even go and do that, then how serious are you about buying a house? And that I always tell
That's
that to people.
true.
I'm like,
That
if
is
unless
true.
you, right? Like the basic step is, hey, gather your docs to hand it to the bank. Like that's step one. And then they tell you you could afford this. As a rule of thumb, if you want to be financially literate, right, you go to a professional to do that for you,
Yeah.
right? So to help guide you. So when I was in, like I said, when I was in finance for Chase, we had very high net worth individuals that would come and ask us for advice, or we would advise them, and then they make the educated decision from there. So same thing with real estate, right? Agents, you guys advise your clients into that area, blah blah blah. We basically advise them as to what they're able to afford, or and structure a payment that they want. If someone comes and tells me, hey, I want to keep it within 30% of my income,
Yeah.
mortgage payment, whatever it is, I set those parameters and give them that, right? Even though they might be able to afford more.
Yes.
So it's just, we set it up for everyone. And I think that is something that as a realtor, seasoned in the game, you're gonna make sure that the buyer is someone that you're not gonna waste 3 months with and then find out that they don't qualify for that $600,000 offer, $300,000 offer, whatever that they made on that home. So that's
Yeah.
why it's also important to hire professionals, and because then people will also take you more seriously when your offers are being presented. They understand that you've taken the extra steps. And in the market right now, anything and everything that can make you shine, you're trying to put out there.
Yeah. So you call that the financial analysis,
Say that
or
again.
is it financial analysis
I mean, I guess you
of the
the pre-approval.
pre? Okay.
It's a
I,
yeah. So all your
I don't like
pre-approval.
pre-approval.
Yeah, so all a pre-approval is, or pre-qualification, or all these crazy things, it's just basically you took your paperwork to someone that has a license and looks at
Yeah.
your documents and goes, okay, you can borrow X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
right? So, but it's like anything else, right? And
Yeah.
the way I try to explain this to people, same thing with like real estate agents. The way I try to explain to people is, look, there's always the Michael Jordans of the world, right? That can go into the league or that can jump into the situation and be the top guys, right?
Yeah.
Attorneys, doctors, whatever field, right? There are always those one, two individuals that jump into it on just the top of their field and are crazy forever.
Right.
Then there's everybody else, right? Which I think is the rest of us, which we go into a field and we learn from the beginning and we pick it up and we become, you know what I mean? And then you grow. Like, I think on the most sides, that's kind of how it is, right? So the difference between, let's say, going to an attorney that just started out, right, that might not understand the laws and this or that, versus someone who's been doing it for a long time, or a doctor, right, that just became a doctor, versus a
Yeah.
surgeon that's been doing it 20 years. Same thing in mortgages and real estate, right? You want to go to someone that's kind of seen things and seen the ups and downs of it all, right?
Right.
Um, and it goes more down to that whole minute, especially in your particular backyard. You kind of want to give it to someone that lives in that backyard, right? And a big reason why is simply because they've lived in that area, been a part of it, seen it, and seen the ups and downs of that situation. Here on Long Island alone, we've been hit by hurricanes how many times, and and the flood zones have changed in the last 10 years. How the flood zones have changed every single time that something's happened, right? So
Right.
stuff like that, it's always going to be super important to um, sit down and have that conversation, because if I'm talking to someone area, I'm Googling that area, right? So let's say if it's in Florida or Texas or whatever, Arizona, right? Right now I'm doing a deal in Kansas City. I Google the area and I literally look and go, okay, does this home need flood insurance? Is this home going to need hurricane insurance, tornado insurance? You know, in the Midwest, like there are insurances that in different areas of the country you need as opposed to in other areas, right?
Yeah.
So you
Definitely.
don't need
Yeah.
flood insurance in Arizona. Um,
Oh,
you know what I
Jose.
mean? So those things alone
Yeah,
kind of will
Jose. How about?
separate, the newer guys from some seasoned guys, and everyone who, and everybody in between. So it's
Yeah.
super important to sit down and talk to someone. For me, the advantage that I kind of also had was that because I came from that background, right, where I was already dealing with investments and all, and insurance and everything else, to be able to put a financial analysis and give my customer scenarios, which is so second nature to me, that all
Yeah.
I really had to learn was just how to do mortgages, right? And
Yeah.
listen, that's intricate and complicated and simple in and of itself, right? The actual process of doing the loans is pretty simple. It's dealing with the different counties and states that becomes the navigating factor, right? How
Yeah.
you deal with Nassau County is very different than how do you deal with Brevard County in Florida. You
Yeah.
know, so it's just that's really the biggest difference, I would say.
Yeah.
Um,
Question, Jose. How about for tornado? Is there an insurance for tornado insurance? I
why, you got hit by a tornado?
no, but it's those people that suffered greatly. A few months back.
Yes.
Was
So
I
yeah. So
don't
look.
think.
So things are insured, and that's look. And unfortunately, right, um, those events kind of really the people that. How about this? I'll put it in the best way. The people that were insured the right way will be fine financially, right?
Yeah.
Because whatever else they are losing, lives and things, whatever that's you can never recover no matter how much money, right? But
Exactly.
the homes and the situations like that, if you have the right insurance and you set yourself up the right way, you'll recover. So I kind of go back to Long Island, right? On
Yeah.
Long Island, our shores here are held by some of the wealthiest people, right? That's just how New York is built. On the shorelines, it typically is held by some of the wealthiest people. So
Yeah.
the areas where the money was and they insured themselves the right way bounced back within a year or two, and things were more or less back to normal. Oh, there's still some homes that aren't there. Yeah, of course, because not everybody set themselves the right way, but more people did than didn't, right?
Yeah.
And areas, unfortunately, like I have friends that moved out to New Orleans, they had flood and they had all this stuff, and because certain zones didn't set themselves up with insurance and things in the right way, right? They took a hit, and But that's such that's
Mm.
such a like deeper conversation as far as like
Yeah.
insurance, right? And zones and areas because for the most part, high rent areas, the insurer, right, the landlord doesn't typically get the craziest insurance for their renters, right? As the same way he would
No.
for his own home, right? He probably triples and insures his house that if the craziest things in the world happens, he gets his home plus some, right? But
Yes.
for his investment and depending on the property, he might have already made his money back on that property 100 times over, and
Right.
now it's just making him money. He doesn't need to invest into it any further. And even if it deteriorates, it's still okay because he's still making his money, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
unfortunately, you have a lot of areas like that. And when they get hit because they're not insured the right way, it won't bounce back as quickly. It'll be much harder for those areas. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
the same thing. It's
Yeah.
the same, it's the same out in the Midwest. Depending on the areas, right, you need different insurances and you do need, tornado and whatever. Like everywhere is different. That's what I mean. Like everywhere is different. In
Yeah.
Arizona, for example, right? Like, okay, so let's say you need tornado insurance out there, Arizona, places that are right extremely hot with the heat. Um, you need to make sure that, let's say, your air conditioning units are working and whatnot. So you need insurance to have that protected. That's not something that you want to let go. That needs to,
Yeah.
if it breaks. So because
Okay.
of that fact, it's required in some areas. It's very specific depending on the development. And that's what I mean about kind of navigating certain things, right?
Right. Right.
Depending on the county, state, whatever requirements as far as a bank that we need, we'll put it on.
Yeah. All right.
So if
So
we think if
we.
we think that area is going to get flooded or that it's going to catch on fire, right? Like in California, you need to have fire. Like there, you just need to have that kind of insurance on your homes. That's all.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
some people, what happens is a lot of times people will take the insurance initially and then they'll or right from the beginning they'll just take the bare minimum because we
Yeah.
require the bare minimum, but that's just to cover the bank, right?
Mm.
So the bank will say, yeah, if the house burns or floods or tornadoes, whatever, we get our money. That insurance is fitted in,
Yeah.
right? But if you need to build or something on that house, you might not be getting that. So
Mm.
that's really where, it's important to just understand what you're getting yourself into. Like I said,
Yeah.
talk to a professional and let them really break it all down.
Yeah. So let everybody know how to get in contact with you, Jose.
All right. So, cell phone number 516-996-6543. You could also reach me on my social on Instagram. It's the Latino Lender, and on Facebook as well, the Latino Lender. And then obviously my email, excuse me, sorry, it's the Latino Lender at gmail.com. And you guys can reach me through here. DM me, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, either way, and I'll
Okay.
try to get back to people.
Yes. So remind us of the giveaways that you have from January 1st through March.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So we're doing $800, guys, towards the
Okay.
closing costs, right? So if you're looking to buy a home, we're going to be paying up to $800 for the closing costs.
Perfect.
And it goes a long way. That will help cover the appraisal. Some places have inspections depending on the area, right? Sometimes there is no waiving the inspection, right? Some markets don't have that, right? Some markets right now, they're asking for you to waive X, waive Y, waive Z. So depending on the area, you might have an inspection fee, let's say. So, we're just looking to help cover some of the costs and kind of like balance that out through my
Right.
end.
So
And
right.
yeah,
So that's $800 until the end of March of this year,
correct. So for
correct?
quarter one,
All
yes.
right. For whomever closes on a loan,
Correct. So
right?
whether you're doing a refinance or you're doing a purchase,
Okay.
we'll give you a credit for up to $800.
And also hard money. We gotta
And on the hard
remind
money, that's right.
everybody.
On the hard money, on the commercial side.
Yes.
So, listen. it's one of those things where real estate, if you have the will and you have the ability to go out and find some deals. So here's a hot tip, right? I'll give you guys all a hot tip right now. Kansas City, from what I'm seeing, I have a couple of investors
Yeah.
buying houses out in Kansas City, putting a couple of dollars into it and flipping those homes out there. They're buying homes as cheap as 40, 50, 60, 70,000. You could 100,000, etc. And I say cheap, guys, because I'm from New York, where
Right.
a 3-family 1-bath home is selling for 400,000, 500,000 in certain neighborhoods, right,
Yeah.
or more. So it's small, like square footage, like I'm talking tiny. So um, it's just the market out here. So, but out there, because the market is what it is, a lot of homes in that area are aged. So for you to go in there, right? And listen, this is what I mean about opportunities everywhere. So somebody might be listening right now, let's say, can put together 20%, right? 20, maybe 30% of this and be able to put it down. So you go out to Kansas City, and you don't even have to go out there. That's the beauty of it, right? You could put systems in place, have the realtors get you the properties, find the contractors, put it together, do the work on the home, put the house up for sale, and sell it. So those areas right now are aging, right? So Kansas City's been around for a long time, but a lot of the bathrooms, the kitchens, the floors are aged, right? So going
Yeah.
into those homes, doing a little bit of work, and reselling it at a good markup. So listen, you're not going to make the same money you would if you did it, let's say, in New York or California, where you might make 100, 200,000 home or more, right? We've seen some crazy numbers out here, but
Yeah.
you could go into those homes and maybe be making 15, 20, 30,000 a deal. Let's say you do two,
Yeah.
three, four, five of those. Some people could replace an income with that, right? And you're not doing the work yourself. You are having a realtor look for the home, having a contractor work at the home, and selling the home, and you're really just supplying the money at that point, right?
Right.
So
You
it's a legwork, right? It's not as easy. Like
outsource
that's right. That's the
the
simple way of putting it. Just so everybody understands,
labor.
right? That's a simple
Right.
way of putting it. There's a lot of legwork. You're still gonna have to do some homework between now and, let's say, really do, let's say, a 30 or 60-day nosedive into some homework, how you can do that. But that's the skeleton, at least, of how you could do it. So Kansas City right now, I'm seeing people do it. They live here in New York, or they live in California, and they're buying houses in Kansas City and flipping them from home. So it's out there, guys. If you guys want, that's my hot take for today. Kansas City.
That's that's good. Yeah. And a few, because I have an investor friend in Indiana, and
Uh-huh.
he keeps sending me properties. They're like 40, 50, $60,000.
Yeah.
Three, 4 bedroom houses.
In what
Yeah.
in what in what area in Indiana?
I don't remember, but I have them in my email.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would be interested.
So
Listen, if you have a friend that's actually an investor, man, that's telling you Indiana, like I
yeah.
said, we're used to, or at least here in New York, and I think a lot of people also, right? Everyone's trying to take those giant swings where they're looking to make, hundreds of thousands, because that's what they see on TV too, right? Those shows,
Yeah.
all these shows that you watch about flipping homes or whatever, like, they're like, we put $20,000 into this house, and we
Mhm.
made $100,000 profit. It's like, all right, dude, like, and that's not every home. That's not all of America. There's so much space in America that there are a lot more. There are a lot more smaller home opportunities for you to buy for 40, 50, 30. You know, I know a ton of
Yeah.
people that are still putting money into Detroit. And Detroit at one point was selling
Yeah.
houses for $1,000.
Yeah.
Like where were you buying houses for $1,500 a home? Sometimes they were giving them away. It was crazy, but because
I
Detroit took a
remember.
giant
I'm
hit.
like, oh
So
no, I don't
yeah,
want to go there. No, I'm sorry, I didn't get it. You know
but that
what?
was
There's yeah.
yeah, but that's the thing. America is so big that those opportunities are there, and you don't even have to go there. We're moving more towards a digital age anyway. right?
Yes.
Everything's moving more towards being online, or the now everyone's on the virtual, right? They're doing the metaverse or whatever, right? So, um, you're going to be able to do those kinds of deals a lot easier, I think,
Yeah.
especially in the future. But for right now, it's still possible. You just have to put the homework in. But
True.
that's
I
all I'm saying.
right. I remember this is like it gotta be over 10 to 12 years. My husband could remind me vividly. In New York here in the Rockaways, right? This property was on the main. I think it's on. I'm not sure what's the name of the road, but it was on the main. It was um, it was like an old colonial property.
Hmm.
We saw the sign up for sale, and we went by. We met. I don't remember if it was the owner or the person, who was responsible for selling. So they showed it, showed the place, and we were like, I'm looking at it, and my husband, no, I don't know if I could invest in this. And I had the money. I had the cash money. You know how much it was selling for? I think
How
it's
much?
I think it was 20,000. I had the
Wow.
cash money. I was looking at myself. We went home and we're like, my husband like, I don't feel like investing in this area. It's kind of a high crime area, at that time.
Hmm.
And then, we let go. So it was like maybe like 2, 3 years after we had to go by there again. We were visiting someone who had bought another property that was newly built in a development, like maybe 2 miles down there.
Hmm.
We like, we looking left. Where's the house that we were interested in? And we're like, where was it? I can't find it. I couldn't identify where it was. So on our way back, it was on the left hand coming in, and we, sort of slowed down and everything. There's this brick
You're breaking up a little bit.
building, brick building, a four
There we
family
go.
brick building. And I said, oh, my heart just fell. I'm like, we look at each other, we're like, wow, this is what we passed up on. This is what we could have owned. So like it was $20,000 we were selling it for. I'm like, oh my God, that was a lesson learned. And everything around it developed. Everything was new. Oh, it was beautiful. It is now. We're like, wow.
Well, so here's the thing with real estate, right? And the crazy part about it is that real estate's one of those things that no matter when, it's real estate. There's too much demand for it right now.
Yeah.
There's too much demand for it, and there's been too much demand for it for a really, 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 really long time. So, I don't see real estate coming down. The way that let's say other areas have come down, right, over the years, because it's been said for decades, millennia at this point, right, is that they're not making more of it. So they're not making more land.
Right?
So
Nope.
real estate is a very finite um, asset that you can own. So
Right.
because of that, real estate's always just going to be going up. Even after the crash in '08, like I said, I was in banking at the time. Even after the
Yeah.
crash, everything went back up. It's higher now than it's ever been ever in the history of real estate, right?
Yes.
You know when the crash was? It was only 12 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, eight. Yeah.
That's it. It was 12 years ago. I've been telling
I
people for
I
years.
remember vividly. Crash with us. Yeah.
I've been telling people for years, like when the crash happened, everyone has been saying they're waiting for the next crash to buy a house, the next
Mhm.
crash to buy a house, right? It's coming, it's coming. Listen, we just had a pandemic. We just had
Yeah.
a pandemic, and housing markets shot through the roof.
Hmm.
Housing is very protected. The reason that housing got screwed up back in 2008 was twofold. They started building a lot very quickly,
Yeah.
and you made a huge amount of supply, which is fine. But then all the mortgage-backed securities started defaulting because they started coming to term, and what they ramped up too fast and they caught up, right?
Yeah.
So real estate is a going up trend. It's always going to be on the up because it hedges against inflation. There's a big reason, right, that real estate economically and how it's put into the government system, because the government owns us. Just so everybody knows out there, the government owns how we lend out money.
Yeah.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac gives their money to everybody, whether I was at Chase or where I'm at now, the East Coast. Every single bank takes and borrows money from Fannie Mae or Freddie. Nobody, because every bank does the same thing everybody else knows, right? Other people's money. Whose money's better than the government? They're backing it at this point, right?
Right.
So it's 100%. That's it, right? They are the ones that back it. We are completely regulated by the government.
Yes.
That's why we have to get licensed. We are completely regulated by them. So we all borrow and then give it back to them. Now, the way that Chase makes their money is they turn around and say, we're going to collect the payments and we're going to take a piece of that and take that work off of Fannie and Freddie, so that way they're not having to collect the money and deal with people and blah, blah, blah. So just so everybody kind of understands, that is a business. It's called servicing in the mortgage industry. There's a ton of companies that do it. Some people are familiar. They're familiar with Aquin, right?
Yeah.
Your loan might have been sold to Aquin.
OCWEN, Aquin.
Yeah. So those are all servicing companies. They work for either Fannie, Freddie, or another company. And what they do is they just collect your payment. And they say, by collecting the payment, I will take a little piece and then sell it and give it off. On real estate, you know what it's similar to? Management companies.
Oh.
So they collect, right? They collect all the rent. So they collect the rent and then they give it to an investor. Servicing companies are the same as management companies in real estate.
Right. I remember my mortgage was sold, and I saw my statement like, Aquin, like, who's Aquin? I didn't take the mortgage out with Aquin.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was sold. I'm like, okay, I got to pay somebody else for my mortgage.
Well, yeah, but because your mortgage is only paid to two people. Two people are the real collectors of that mortgage, no matter what bank you really went to. And at the end of the day, it gets sold 3 or 4 or 5 times probably by the time you're done paying it.
I know.
Yeah, that's just the truth. So listen, today I think we have put out a ton today. Why you should get a realtor, right? That's super important. I gave out a hot take for Kansas City. Shout out Kansas City. Woo.
I have Indiana.
The Indiana, right? So I think that we today specifically, I hope people were able to take something away from this, right? And we even got technical. We went deep into how mortgages work and who owns the mortgage industry, right? And it's good old Uncle Sam. It's just there's just so much that goes into it, and this is really the reason that I hope people, when they tune in, they realize why they really need to be working with a professional, right? Obviously, I want to be that professional for you, but really any professional, as long as they, are able to steer you in the right way, right, or guide you in the right way, and by really educating you, that's kind of the best way I've seen transactions really work out, or just seen partnerships build over the years, is through constant communication and really educating. Because hey, like I said, we do this on a regular basis. My client doesn't, right? So being able to explain that to them, being able to kind of walk them through the process and make the process as smooth as possible is always going to be key. And having the right team, whether it's the real estate agent, the attorney, the title, or this, that, having that team, which, now this far into my career, right, I built this. Look at the team we've had here alone, right? Everyone does what they say they're going to do. And at the end of the day, right, we make sure that we take care of each other, because we're all like,
everybody comes out a winner.
There you go.
Right. So, we have Auntie Donna. She be able to take all your documentations and have them sorted out, send them over to you to verify them, and we start the process.
There you go.
Okay.
And really, any questions that people have on most any topic, the other thing that I really love to do, right, other than to go into the whole real estate aspect of it, but sometimes, just being able to connect people too. Somebody might be doing something really interesting and cool. I have people that are in, hemp out in California, right? Arizona, places like that. I have people that are in, construction that are doing 3D printing right now, out in the Midwest. So
Wow.
it's like some really cool stuff that's happening, and everything in between. There's designers and bakers, and you know what I mean. So
Right.
sometimes people have questions or want to get connected to someone. Reach out. I'd be more than
Yeah,
happy
we
to
have a
open up
good
those books.
network of people.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Because
we
that's all we're
do.
looking to do is help each other out, I think, really, at the end of the
Sure.
day.
This is what our community
And
is
sometimes
for.
an introduction, exactly. And sometimes an
Yeah.
introduction is all someone ever really needs.
Yes, definitely. Yes. So it's very good. Just a quick question, Jose. What do you think about Funrise?
About
Funrise,
what?
Funrise. What do you think about them? The
Fun
investment
run?
company, Funrise, Fundrise.
Oh, haven't heard of them.
Yeah, you haven't heard of them? Okay,
No.
yeah, I've
What
heard
do they
about
do?
them a few years now. They're an asset, based company, and right now I think they have over 200 assets, for real estate worth $5.1 billion, and it's minimal. It's minimal to join them as
Really?
is an investment group. You could go to fundrise.com, fundrise.com. It's very minimal to join them. I think you could start like maybe investing with them with a portfolio starting at maybe $10, but you could consider it as a long term
Gotcha. So what's
investment.
the value? So what's their what makes them different, I guess, or what
Yeah,
are they? Yeah,
it's
other than the
for
name. I like the
yeah
name.
it's
Fun.
yeah exactly. It's you could when you join it, open up a portfolio, basically getting into the investing in purchasing properties. I think
Mhm.
they have let me see the properties there.
Well, the reason, why I asked, the reason I asked is because there
Yeah,
there are so many companies that do that,
right.
right? There's so many companies that do that. How, and the way I go about looking
Hmm.
for companies and
Hmm.
whether or not I want to put a couple bucks behind them, I look to see who's leading the company,
Okay.
and I do a deeper dive on that, right? So like I look to
Yeah.
see who's leading the company. I do a deep dive in that, and then
Hmm.
especially with something like an asset fund, I just
Yeah.
want to see what assets they have, and then what they've leveraged. There's so, oh God, man, I would have to do a deep dive. So any
Yeah.
company that this is just me, right? Any company that I like to put a few dollars behind, I just want to see who is leading it,
Yeah.
what projects they're working on, what they've done in the past, and what their track record's been.
Yeah.
It's what I would expect people to do for me, right? Like when they look at
Exactly.
me and they go, "Hey, why do I want to work with you?" It's like, what's your track record? What's it like now? Like it's the same
Yeah.
thing. The
Well, I
same way.
did that. I did that. I've been, profiling them for a few years now, and I just got the update. They have over 200 assets worth $5.1 billion. So not bad.
No, so this is a company that you like.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into them. Yeah, that's
Yes.
awesome.
Fundrise.com. Yeah.
See, and this is what I love, right? It's information. It's a company I've never heard of,
Mhm. Yeah.
and yeah, man, I would definitely like to look into something like that. 'Cause like I said,
Yes.
we get hot tips all the time, right? Not so much,
Right.
it's not insider trading, right? Because
No.
that's not like the thing on that end. But
Disclaimer.
these are disclaimers, right? It's more like
Right.
something that you bought into, you used yourself, right? The same way I would
Exactly.
if I drank Coca-Cola and I was like, hey, by the way, Coca-Cola Pepsi Cherry was amazing yesterday. I'm not getting paid by them, right? So same
Yes.
thing. So that's cool.
All
Fun
right.
ride. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to look
So
into them.
we're
That's awesome.
we're getting ready to wrap it now. So just give out your information and let's turn it over.
All right, guys, listen, amazing day today. I hope that something today resonated for anyone out there. And if you have questions, reach out to me through Instagram at the Latino Lender, Facebook, the Latino Lender as well. LinkedIn, it's Jose Velasquez, and then my cell phone number 616-996-6543. You can also email me at thelatinolender@gmail.com. And look, I look forward to hearing from everybody. If you have questions, send them over DM as well, and that way we can talk about it on the show. I would love
Yes.
to be able to answer some questions that people have. It doesn't have to be real estate related. It could, I love topics too. So if you guys have a random topic, I'm also interested. And that's really it. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much. And again, remember, until quarter eight, $800 coming your way when we do a closing. But we need to see the hashtag. Christine, what are the hashtags? Let us know. What's the hashtag?
Hashtag is Positive Radio 106.9
I think you're
FM. Until
Positive
dawn
Radio, right?
Positive Radio
There we go.
106.9 FM with Until Dawn
So make sure you put the hashtag when you send over the
Positive
DM.
Radio. Yes.
There you go. Make sure you put the hashtag on there, so that way when you DM, I know it's coming from Positive Radio. And you guys are literally the only ones we're doing this with. So $800 coming out this way.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Jose. Everyone
Absolutely.
have a good rest of the new year. See you next week.
And for all you guys who
Bye.
got snow, be safe out there. It's icy now.
Yes, definitely. Stay safe
Good.
on the roads.
Good night.
All right.